Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class series where we deep dive into every single team's draft class, giving you guys rankings, grades, analysis on how I feel about everything, projections for starting, ceilings, kind of anything you could think of or want, it's going to be in here, so make sure you stick through if we're covering your favorite team, and make sure you stick around as we get through all 32 teams in the NFL. Without further ado, let's hop into the Vikings here. My next class here, my 29th overall class. Very, very simple class, very, very small class. It's going to be kind of a quicker one. I know I said the Bengals one last video was going to be a quicker one, and it wasn't. I truly think this one's going to be a quicker one today. We're only dealing with 5 picks, and they're all pretty simple. But before I list out the class, if you guys have any questions about anything you're seeing on your screen, any of the websites, any of my grading stuff, should all be down in the description, so make sure you guys check that out if you have any questions. The Vikings, their class is Donovan Jackson, a guard out of Ohio State, Ty Felton, a wide receiver out of Maryland, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, an IDL/edge out of Georgia, Kobe King, a linebacker out of Penn State, and Gavin Bartholomew, a tight end out of Pittsburgh. Now we get with their first pick, Donovan Jackson, pick 24 they sat and picked with their first round pick, something I didn't expect them to do. I wasn't 100% surprised just with the amount of picks they had. I was kind of expecting a trade back, but I like this pick for them. I graded an A out of my big board ranking. He's number 48, so it's not terrible value, but not great value. He was my third graded interior lineman. He was the second one taken off the board. I had Tate Radledge a little bit ahead of him, just a few slots, just because I liked his overall run game better, as well as I thought he was just an overall really good athlete and still showed some nice upside in the pass game. I just liked him as an overall well-rounded guard more. Whereas Donovan Jackson, I think, is the best pure pass-protecting guard in this class. I still really like this for them. Moves very well, fits their scheme very well. He's going to immediately slot in as their left guard, and they're going to become a top 10, or they probably were already a top 10 unit, but closer to a top 5 unit, just off the top of my head. You think of their tackle duo with O'Neal and Darisaw, just two bookends that are very, very strong. And then they pick up Will Fries, they pick up Brian Kelly, and now they have Donovan Jackson. Just a very, very, very strong, overall just solid at every position offensive unit. If Donovan Jackson has any struggles early, he's going to be able to be sheltered by just a very solid core. He's going to plug in. Like I said, I think this is going to be a very, very good just O-line right off the bat. I really like this for them. I have it overall an A despite the big board ranking value because, like I said, just plugging him in and making that line that good is just super, super valuable. At 6'4", 315-pound guard. At 22, he's going to turn 23 kind of late in the season, but he's going to be 22 kind of most of the early season. The 8.96 RAS. So the measurables, or the testing measurables, definitely match the athleticism you see on tape. He can get out and move. Was a 2024 second-team All-American and a first-team Big Ten. He started at 9 games at left tackle because Josh Simmons, the left tackle taken to the Chiefs in the first round, had a season-ending patellar tear. So he went from left guard, slid out to left tackle. The production isn't insane because he was obviously getting adjusted to playing left tackle in his first game of playing left tackle. He had to play against Penn State. You know who they have on the edge, Abdul Carter. So a little bit of a rough start, but settled in at tackle very well. You can feel comfortable with him playing either. For their line, it's a guard. I view him more as a guard too. Just really, really good player. I think this is a great pick for them. Again, I graded it an A. The next pick, with the 38th pick in the third round, they got this pick from trading up with the Texans. They traded pick 97 and 187 to get 102 and 142. I didn't love this pick. Ty Felton, like we said, the 38th pick of the third round, pick 102, wide receiver out of Maryland. I just didn't 100% understand this. Number one, positionally, I think he immediately comes in and is going to compete for their wide receiver 4 if he has a really, really good camp, maybe a wide receiver 3 role. But I think Jalen Naylor is probably kind of locked it into that wide receiver 3, like I said, unless he has a really good camp. I don't think he's taking Addison's spot. He's definitely not taking Jay Chetta's spot. So just getting a fourth receiver that, maybe if he doesn't have a great camp, is your fifth receiver in the third round, even though it's the back end of the third round. I just don't love it. You had Josh Metellus leave in free agency. Harrison Smith is getting older. I would have loved a safety here to be your third safety and then eventually kind of take over that Harrison Smith role. I think that would have been great here. Maybe you take an interior defensive lineman, more of a nose type, to give Harrison Phillips some relief snaps. And even if, kind of bridge that new era once Harrison Smith gets out of here. I think there was just a lot of other positions they could have went that would have been more impactful for them right now. I don't see Ty Felton being a major impact. And with your second pick and your second pick of only 5 picks, you got to get some impact players for you, especially to get you over the hump. They had a really good season last season. Sam Darnold's not there. You expect J.J. Jettis to kind of take over and play at that same level, but you need to get over the hump of making it through the playoffs, getting to the NFC Championship, and making it further than that. They haven't had great playoff success recently. I would have loved to see them just get a more impactful player. But in terms of the wide receiver themselves, the wide receiver itself, Ty Felton, I think this isn't bad value. He's 116 on my big board. He was pick 102, so not terrible value. He was my 16th ranked wide receiver, and positionally he was the 14th one off the board. But I still don't 100% understand this. I think if you wanted to get just the best overall receiver on the board, like a Jalen Royals would have been great here, or an Alec Ayomaner I think would have been really good here. If you want more of a true X, I think Alec Ayomaner would have been really good. I think Torrey Horton I really hope I'm not blanking on this name. Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. I think he would have been a better role on that outside. I think if you're looking for a true burner, Keandre Lambert-Smith is probably the best available. Maybe you go with a Dante Thornton. Ty Felton, he ran a 4.37, but I just really didn't see it on tape. I didn't see the burning. I didn't see the deep separation consistently. I don't think he's a bad wide receiver. I think he was more of a 4th round type guy. 38th pick in the 3rd. I don't hate the value, like I said. But he's not like, he doesn't have like an elite trait, or he's not like, oh yeah, this is your certified slot, or your certified X, or your certified Z. He's just more of a wide receiver 3 or 4 to me. And I don't, like I said, if they wanted to go receiver here and they wanted to get a certified role, I think there's better roles here. If they wanted to get the best overall receiver, I think, there might have been 2 guys that I value better. I have this as a C+ because of that. Not a terrible pick, but not going to be the most impactful right away. I could see him being a good receiver down the line, but his path to starting is going to be difficult because they've got some pretty good bodies ahead of him. He's a 6'1", 183, 22.1-year-old, so basically going to be 22 throughout the season. 9.2 RAS score. He tested very well. I didn't expect him to test that well. It's not like he's a bad athlete. He's just not like an exceptional one. He doesn't really pop on tape as a superb athlete, or at least he didn't in this last season. For his production in 2024, he had 96 receptions on 143 targets. So not the best, kind of catch percentage on those targets. 1,124 yards, 9 touchdowns, 11.7 yards per catch, and 8 drops. Don't like to see that drop number. Is a 2-time third-team Big Ten, two-time third-team All Big Ten, in 2024 and 2023. In this last year, he set his school record for receptions. They were throwing this guy the ball all the time. He was 100% the main read. Last year, he flashed a lot more as not being the main kind of like number 1 guy, and a lot of people expected him to take a step up and do really well this season. As the number 1 guy, he didn't really look 100% the same, but the flashes are there. This is someone with pretty high potential, but like I said, he's going into a pretty crowded room. Not the best position of need right now, in my opinion, but not a terrible pick. Their next pick, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins at pick 139, the first pick of the 5th round. They got this from the Zadarius Smith trade from 2023, getting Zadarius Smith over to the Browns. So basically had the Browns' 5th round pick. A 6'5", 276 IDL/edge, kind of a tweener type. He moved a lot inside and outside. At Georgia, they had Michael on one edge, and Jalen Walker was playing a lot of off-ball to outside. So they had a lot of guys kind of rotating and moving around. He was one of them. This was his first year starting. his first year off the reserve list. He played in a lot of games throughout his career, but was never like the 1 or the 2. He was always on the reserves list. So first year starting, didn't have terrible production, 3 sacks, 1 hurry, 8 TFLs, only 17 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 2 PBU. You see the 9.79 RAS down there. His RAS is tracked as a defensive interior, so it's going to look a lot more athletic compared to others. But even with that, he's still pretty athletic. Like I said, he's an outside-inside guy, so when he's lined up inside, he's a lot more athletic than those interior linemen he's going up against. And even on the edge, it's not like he's a bad athlete either. This isn't a bad mover at all. I like this for them. I like them getting interior line depth and edge depth outside of, their Dallas Turner, Jonathan Grenard, and I'm pretty sure they got Alex Anzalone, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look at the depth chart. Oh, no, Andrew Van Ginkel. I'm sorry. The other kind of linebacker, off-ball linebacker edge type. You know what I'm talking about. But I like this for them. They spent a lot of money bringing in Jonathan Allen, bringing in Javon Hargrave. I like to see them bring in a younger, kind of cheaper option for the long term, especially because those guys aren't 100% spring chickens anymore. Especially, like I said, he can play edge as well, and you need more edge depth, just bringing more guys, more juice in that room. So overall, in the 5th, I like this. I thought he was more of a 4th-round type guy. He's kind of a tweener type, so teams might not know what to do with him. Probably falling due to that. I think this is a good value. I think he's going to a good fit. This is a guy I think Brian Flores is just going to know what to do with. We're going to come up with a plan with very, very soon, getting him on a lot of stunts, a lot of twists, trying to get him on mismatches with his athleticism. I could see him being an impactful player down the line. Even if he isn't super impactful this year, I think he's going to compete for a lot of rotational snaps. So I like this for them. Kobe King, a linebacker out of Penn State, taken with the 25th pick of the 6th round. They got this from trading back with the Rams. I really like that for them. They needed swings. If they didn't make this trade, they would have only had 4 total picks. Just not good. It's looking like year 5 of a Madden franchise rebuild where you just get to the draft and you realize you don't have any more day 3 picks or even like some day 2 picks. This is looking rough for them. So I really like this trade back for them. If they took Kobe King with pick 172, I wouldn't have hated that value. So I think this value is really good for him. This is kind of more of a 5th round guy for me. So the fact that you're getting him at the back end of the 6th round, I really, really like that for them. I think this is great value. A pretty decently athletic guy, 6'1", 236, going to be 22 at the start of the season, 23 by the end of it. Decently athletic, like I said, backed up by that RAS score at 8.02, kind of held back by his height and weight a little bit. But not a bad mover at all, someone you feel comfortable with as, kind of starting linebacker size and athleticism, especially in today's NFL. I think he's going to compete for the linebacker 3 spot right away. Again, I don't think he 100% wins that over Blake Cashman, but I think he is going to be competing for that spot. So the fact that you're getting this pick from a trade down, you're getting a guy I think you're getting pretty good value out of, and he's going to be competing for some significant snaps right away. So even if he doesn't get the LB2 spot, if he wins that LB3 spot, he's going to be getting rotated in a lot. I really like this for them. Like I said, it's an I-11 pick. Good value from a trade back. I think he competes for snaps. Just the definition of a good day 3 pick. And then with their last pick, Kevin Bartholomew, a tight end out of Pittsburgh, taken with the next pick, the second pick they got from the Rams trade, sending 172 over for 201 and 202. The 26th pick of the 6th round. I like this for them. I like Thomas Fedoni a little bit more at this spot, but he's fallen due to injury concerns. I get that. I think this fits really well for them. 6'5", 246, 22, 8.87 RAS score. You see the movement? He is a pretty solid mover. He's going to be kind of more of that H-back role. Immediately slots in on their depth chart as their 3rd tight end. So with the last pick, I like this for them. You might think of trading out of this to get more picks for this year, but at the back end of the 6th, no one's trading to give you 2 picks in this class. So you might as well just sit and pick the guy you want for the role you want him for. In this offense where they get a lot of movement, a lot of shifts, a lot of fullback kind of like H-back wing slides and leaks, I like this for them a lot. I think he's going to get a lot of rotational playing time as, kind of that H-back slot / fullback, a wing, the 3rd tight end when they bring in 13 personnel, some snaps when they bring in 12. They like to get multiple. It's a wide zone type scheme. They like to get guys out on the move and blocking. This is a guy who has good movement skills, and likes to show effort as a blocker. So fits in immediately as a role. I think he's going to be getting some decent snaps this year, even if it isn't a ton. And I think if he can flash in the snaps he gets, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a lot of rotational snaps this year. I think someone that gives him some decent upside as a tight end 2 down the road if they don't continue to, keep Josh Oliver on the roster. So I like this. It's a little bit early in terms of true value. You probably could have waited a bit, but there's no way you're trading back and getting 2 picks in this class. You might as well just sit and pick your guy right where you want him. I like it for them. Overall, not a bad pick. Like I said, this was going to be kind of a shorter one. Only 5 picks in this class, and it was a really, really simple class. The Bengals in the last video had 6, but I was a lot more kind of feeling different ways and questioning different things about that class, so I had a lot more talking points. This one's a lot more straightforward. I just really enjoy a lot of these picks. Besides the Ty Felton one, I just think they kind of hit the board right where they needed it to. Got positions of need. Got guys that are depth that are going to be fighting for rotational snaps now or down the line. I like it. A lot of athletes. Like I said, Donovan Jackson, not bad value, not great value, but it immediately just makes that O-line just very, very good, probably a top 5 unit right away. So I like that a lot for them. Had a little bit of question with Ty Felton. I don't hate the value, but in terms of the position and who is left on the board for different wide receiver type roles, I think they could have got a better body in there for them. Wish they went a different route positionally, but not a terrible pick. C+. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, high athletic inside-outside guy who's going to compete for some pass rush snaps. Probably going to be a very, very schemed-up rusher in stunts and twists. Someone in the fit that I think gives him some very solid value and a very high ceiling athletically. I would be surprised in a few years if this is a guy that is, kind of like a starting type-ish role where he's on the field a ton, like he was in this last year at Georgia, just always playing on the inside or the outside, just staying on the field. I like that a lot for them. Ty Felton ceiling, I'll just go back on him real quick. I think he has the ceiling to be a starting kind of like 2, maybe a 3, but I think he can be a 2. Just in this room, it's going to be really difficult for him to get that playing time if they don't move on from some guys in the kind of next 2 to 3 years. And I think year 1, he's probably going to be wide receiver 4 or 5. So kind of another reason I don't exactly love it, but still a high ceiling guy. I don't hate it. And then Kobe King, someone that I think can compete for LB3, if not LB2 right away. He got it from a trade down when he didn't have a lot of picks. I like it a lot for them. Decent athlete, not great size, but in today's NFL, that's starting NFL linebacker size, so I don't hate it. Pretty solid production at a good conference. I like it for them. Gavin Bartholomew, like I said, immediately comes in as their tight end 3 and is a pretty good mover in a scheme that likes to get their guys on a move a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised. They used him a lot on some slides, some leaks, some sharks, some splits, a lot of different stuff, but not like a true 1 or 2 tight end right away, probably their tight end 3/full/H-back. Just a very, very overall solid class. I like this a lot. I did forget to mention Kobe King's and Gavin Bartholomew's stats and other stuff real quick, so I'll just kind of quickly mention that since this was a shorter one. Kobe King, 97 tackles, 8.5 TFLs, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 PBU, 14 missed tackles. You don't like to see that on sub 100 total tackles, but not a terribly weak player, someone you think you can develop into becoming a stronger player. Had some decent production otherwise. It's a 2024 second team Big Ten, so second team in a pretty good conference. You like to see that. 2-year starter, so still pretty young in kind of experience. You think his best football is ahead of him. Gavin Bartholomew, 38 receptions on 54 targets, 322 yards, 8.5 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. Not a ton of production. He's not going to have a ton of production early in the NFL. Either a lot more of it, like I said, that role, kind of full H, wing, third tight end, kind of stuff like that. Just an athletic mover that's going to be sliding down the line, getting on leaks in the flat. A lot of short stuff. I like it for him. 4-year starter, so you like to see that. He's a captain for them, 4-year starter. He has a lot of experience, a lot of grit, a lot of will in his game, and a 3-time ACC honorable mention in 2021, in 2023, and in 2024. So a long career of being a very, very solid player. Getting that in the back end of the 6th, I like that for them. A very, very overall solid class, just not super exciting. Not like a ton of, oh, really, really great value. Just a lot of, you got this guy right where you should have got him, or you took him a little bit early, but it makes sense for the reason you got him, so I like the pick. The only one I have the real question with is Ty Felton. Overall, with the equation I have, it came out to a B-, a 2.8958. Again, my 29th class in the NFL. This was a really good drafting year, as I said in my previous videos. I like a lot of these classes. Really hard for me to put the Vikings class this low because I like some of the guys they got. Just not a ton of picks, and it's not like they hit a bunch of home runs, so it's just a decently solid class overall. Thank you guys if you stuck around for this one. I really appreciate it. Be on the lookout for more videos coming out in the future. These are going to be rolling out, so be tuned in for your favorite team coming up soon. I really appreciate all the love and support on all the draft content that came out during the draft and the draft wraps coming out so far. So thank you guys. Keep engaging with me. Keep letting me know how you feel about, kind of my analysis, how you feel about the classes. Talk with me. I love to talk about this stuff. But thank you guys. Have a great day.